Hub. So, okay, just to share my screen. Welcome to our training program. My name is Matea, and I will present your first part of the Digital Innovation Hub presentation. Then we will continue with the presentation about the Living Lab, where you will see how it can be used in the creative industries, and finish with the UX design. Before I start, I have one question for you. Do you have in your organizations established digital innovation hubs? So that we know how to go with our presentation.
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, we
Okay.
not really, not in this way.
So this stands for the Digital Innovation Hub. This is a digital platform that helps companies acquire digital skills and connect with each other. The ambition is also to explore through workshops and possibilities of cooperation between these. So this is managed to help companies acquire digital new technologies, innovations and business solutions, as well to improve the overall level of digitalization of SMEs. The goal is to enable the transition from traditional to modern industries, more precisely to provide services to companies that want to adopt new technologies. So this provides a one-stop shop that helps companies become more competitive in their business, manufacturing processes, products or services that use digital technologies. They are based on a technology infrastructure like competences centers and provide access to the latest knowledge, expertise, and technology to support their customers by piloting, testing, and experimenting with digital innovations. So they also can provide business and financial support to implement this innovation if needed in the value chain. So this is like a regional collaboration with multiple partners. It can be research innovation centers, it can be incubators, chamber of commerces, it can be accelerators, development agencies, and even governments. And they can have strong links with service providers outside of these companies. So how did it all start? On 2016, the European Commission, okay, let me, now the next one and the next slide. Next slide. So how did it all start? In 2016, the European Commission launched the first initiative related to the digital single market package industry. And one of the most important pillars of digitalization effort of the industry in Europe is the activity of the development of the hub, Digital Innovation Network. European Digital Innovation Hub is like a network of this. And the aim of this initiative is to help all European industries, whether they are small or large, high-tech or not, understand digital opportunities. And over the next 5 years, the European Commission will direct about 500 million euros from the Horizon 2020 budget. And the Commission ambitious is that all companies should have one DIG in their region, which is specialized for some kind of activity. So I'm inviting you to go to the Smart Specialization platform, which is collaborated with DigiConnect, and they are developed a network where you can visualize the geographic distribution of this, improve their network, and provide information on available services and competences. So this collaboration includes activities that improve the evidence base for the sound policies in the field of digital regional growth, providing examples on how these participate in, I don't know, in the development and implementation of the smart specialization. There you can explore workshops and possibilities of cooperation with this across the Europe. So I mentioned before the European Digital Innovation Hub. So the European Digital Innovation Hub is also European Commission is collaborating with member states, and they jointly invest in a network European hubs of the digital innovation. And the member states and regions can benefit from the European Regional Development Fund and cooperate with the industry. So how the selection procedure goes is a two-step procedure. And through the national selection, member states will designate the DIG list as the basis for a limited call for proposals by the Commission. So the EU will further select EDIC, taking into account regional and balanced quality, technology, and applications of the network coverage. And over the time, Digital Innovation Hub will have to specialize for the certain sectors that benefit strongly from key digital technologies supported by the Digital Europe. So the specialization must meet the needs of the regions and its smart specialization strategy. So we have in our region established the Digital Innovation Hub North, and Vesna will present you more about it and what we are done so far.
So let me continue with some our practice. So the Digital Innovation Hub North was founded in 2017 by 3 partners: Technology Park Varaždin, Technology Innovation Center Međimurje, and Enter Koprivnica. It is in fully operative phase. Through the activities of the partners wants to support the industries that are of strategic importance for the partners region. So Enter focus on connecting different industries with professionals with an emphasis on creative industry sector. Technology Park Varaždin focuses on specialized services related to IoT and creative industries with an emphasis of audiovisual, IT industry and automotive industry. And Technology Innovation Center Međimurje offers specialized services for the metal industry, IT industry. The spatial capacity of the DIG North consists of 5 units. The buildings are equipped with modern technology infrastructure, including multiple high-performance servers, with additional of multiple high-speed workstations ready for prototyping and small series production. DIG North supports local SMEs in their digital transformation through activities such as construction, mediation, networking, business strategy development, concept validation, and prototyping, also pre-competitive series production. SMEs also can use an infrastructure, can get digital maturity assessment, incubator support, and mentoring. DIG has software licenses for 3D modeling, design, and visual prototyping. And also part of the DIG infrastructure consists of 3D printer, hologram, VR equipment, 3D scanner, CNC machines for wood and metal. Goal is to support local SMEs in their digital transformation through activities such as building ecosystem, mediation, networking, development of strategies for companies, concept validation, prototyping, and etc. DIG North has had implemented various workshops and activities within. So Enter is currently implementing EcoSforin project, which is funded through Interreg Central Europe program. Program seeks to strengthen Industry 4.0 by introducing digitization in production processes and operation. It aims to strengthen Industry 4.0 by introducing digitization in the production process and business. Also, project goals are related to adoption of the new technologies and innovation in SMEs business for those who want to be reached through specialized hubs. So Enter is currently establishing digital information hub to help SMEs with their digital transformation. Also, there are many activities and workshops that were implemented regarding digitalization. Some of them are related to funding opportunities, where participants got opportunity to hear about funding opportunities from different resources. Interesting was to learn about the importance of leadership in digital transformation, to learn about digital marketing and user experience, and how to digitize your company in 10 steps. SMEs had an opportunity to analyze the existing IT resources in their company, discuss plan and everything related to budgeting to get necessary financial resources for the digital transformation. Industry 4.0 is a logical continuation of the previous 3 industrial revolutions that refers to rapid digital transformation of process within manufacturing and other related industries. The transformation is based on intelligent networking of machines and other devices that are using advanced information and communication technologies, with the aim of enabling autonomous communication between devices, also analyzing the collected data and autonomous decision-making, real-time monitoring of access and processes. How is Industry 4.0 related to DIG? Both Industry 4.0 and DIG have common characteristics and goals. They are characterized by introduction of digitization, development of better products and services, and access to latest knowledge. The common goal is digitalization, e.g. the introduction of IT equipment in small and medium enterprises, and it seeks to encourage small and medium-sized enterprises to embrace new technologies and in that way improve their business. And as some kind of conclusion of all this, European companies are not taking fully advantage of digital technologies. Digital technologies such as high-performance computing, the Internet of Things, big data, blockchain, robotics, and artificial intelligence can enable companies to produce higher-value products and to improve their business. This slow introduction of digital technologies poses a risk to the European companies because their ability to compete in the global economy and creating new jobs and growth is at the risk. It is necessary to enable companies to produce products and services of greater value and to improve their production process. The level of digitalization in Europe remains unequal. The adoption of the digital technologies varies greatly depending on the size of the company, the sector, and the location. Due to the slow introduction of the technologies, we are working on establishing these in order to further encourage and accelerate development of the SMEs. So this was our short presentation. Now, thank you for your attention. I would like to invite Mr. Leo Mršić from Algebra University to present DIG and how CCI can use it. So, Mr. Mršić, please introduce yourself and continue with presentation.
Yes, thank you. I hope you see my slide. Everything is okay. Great.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you for the opportunity to be part of this project. Congratulations for the project. And my role today is to tell you something about the experience that we had and how we see that digital technology can help and improve culture and creative industries. So just to continue on what's already said about digital innovation hubs and about the support, digital support that's available in the region. My home institution is Algebra University College, and the division that I'm working in is called Algebra Lab. Inside or as part of the institution, we have the oldest incubator in Croatia. we take over Zagrebački Incubator Poduzetništva, so we are at the moment delivering 13th generation of young entrepreneurs to the market. And related to Digital Innovation Hub initiative from EU, we applied for Digital Innovation Hub in 2017. So from 2018, together with Faculty of Electrical Engineering in Croatia, we were the first operational hub here in Croatia. What is also interesting for this project is that our institution is fully focused on digital technologies, and from last year in this STEM concept, we also added the digital art as part of it, because we see that it's very important. So at the moment, I think that we are the only institution here that can really compete in this STEM community. Besides that, Algebra University is the biggest private educational provider in Croatia, serving more than 15,000 individuals annually. And this is also important, working with children from first grade in elementary school up to the MBA program. So this is one of the first institutions that are supporting educational parts of the individuals in vertical way, fully focused on digital technologies. So as part of the introduction, and just to in a way empower, or how to point out the importance of creative industries, let me just try to I don't know, ask you to think about how life look like without digital technology. What is really the problem these days is that in this, I would say, first wave, there was a huge, big development of digital technologies of all kinds. So we, in a way, forgot how life was in the past. And okay, after we experienced that technology can really help us, and then when we are talking about programmers, when we are talking about system engineers, and we are talking about people who are into digital technologies, we are more or less always talking about freelancers. All those three facts, freelancing, strong development of digital technologies, puts us in position to forget about this creativity part. So when thinking about the skill that someone has, in the past, when you had a piece of wood and you just had some device that help you to recreate some model from the wood, it was no doubt that this is a skill and this is something that is creative, and at the end the product was something that we admire. And when you were looking at the person who was modeling the wood, there was no doubt that he is doing that. So you never thought that, for example, someone else put together this model and then put that model in front of the person, and then it was kind of a fake. Unfortunately, when we are talking about digital technologies, we don't have the same approach to it, because when you open something on your screen, you could doubt in this creativity or skill part about the person who is doing that. But in all ways, also in general, the concepts are more or less the same. Unfortunately, there is a big, I would say, change or difference in perception of people. The challenge that we have, and we will be going through challenges and some opportunities in this creative and cultural sector, is that there is a big bias in our approach in the way how we think that this should be done. Because it took us, I would say, more than 10 years to understand that more often it's not about programming, which will, for example, sell your e-commerce site, but the design. It's not about the programming that will help you to guide to the process of, I don't know, using some digital service, but it's user experience, something that is again related to design. So creative industries have a certain challenge that they are all around us. They are really the activator, and they gave this big difference in our products, but very, very often our perception is that they are here to stay. So you don't really pay attention to it. When we are trying to think about AI just for a minute, and from the context of perception, we could use this picture as example. So from the machine point of view, if I ask you, will you pass this bridge? And if you ask the machine, okay, give me a recommendation, shall I do it? The machine will tell you, okay, this bridge has everything that is needed. So we don't see any rupture, anything that is wrong with the bridge. If I don't find any data that someone felt from this bridge, then the suggestion would be go. From the perception point of view, I don't think that each one of us will go to that bridge, because in a way, our mind and how we see the world is very, very different than how machines see the world. So for this introduction part, I would say that the creativity is very, very important. And combined with digital technologies can make really, really nice and magic things. What we need to understand is how to guide the process, how to engage people from the ecosystem, from the environment, how to understand, realize how to make them see the importance, and how at the end for them to invest not only in the islands, in a certain, let's say, digital innovation hubs in Europe, but in community, in education, in people who are willing to go to that path. One addition to the introduction part about digital innovation hubs that colleague has is that among the motivation to create digital innovation hubs in Europe noted that they had a problem in disseminating the money through the big companies inside or towards community. And they started to build digital innovation hubs because then they will use those hubs to spread the investment, but also the knowledge to the community, because it's more efficient. Unfortunately, back from 2016 up until today, 2021, so it was 5 years, we were lacking of, I would say, good calls and some stronger focus on what digital innovation hubs should really do. So at the moment, as my colleague said, we are in the process of selecting something called European Digital Innovation Hub. So we are still in the process really of understanding how these kind of hubs can help Europe. Meanwhile, we need to work on it, and let's see how. The fact is that all of us, even today, are probably in position to use some automation or to use robots, no matter if we drive the car, if we use our phones, etc., etc. So our generation will be impacted by robots truly and deeply. Of course, why robot here is used for comparison, because when you take a look at the robot, when you take a look, for example, at the chatbot, you have different perception, different experience in the communication or interaction with the robot than you have, for example, with your colleague. So it's not only that we need to build devices, the fact is that we need also to build a culture of using services and everything that such devices can offer to us. And that leads us to one, I would say, nice question for you to think about, or for all of us to think about. When you take a look at newsstands, news service, portal service, and when they are talking about jobs of the future, my question for you is, how many jobs from culture and creative industries will you find on the lists of jobs of the future? So the answer is, I would say none, maybe one, but generally, when the newsstands, when people are talking on the conferences about the jobs of the future, they always say digital jobs, robotization. You can hear lots of things, but you will not hear anything about creative or culture jobs, or you won't be talking about any job from culture and creative industries. Now, the fact is that this is something that needs to be changed, because in each of the products that we are using, in Zoom that we are using today, in our presentations, we saw a beautiful presentation from our colleagues from Koprivnica. I'm trying to keep up with this design and everything, even though I'm not a really creative person, but I'm using the tools. So it's totally different if you are looking at some slides that are interesting, that if I put together just only text and everything. So we are constantly striving to put some creativity in our products, and we are constantly not paying enough attention to it. It's not that we need to be professionals, but for sure creativity, is part of our daily work. Now, the fact is that people, because of all this that I said, are really not aware about the career paths and everything available in this creative and cultural sector. Okay, and that's, I would say, that's a big challenge, because once when they feel that something can be done, then they change their opinion fast towards the affection to those industries. For example, my background is data science, and we invoke 5 years ago, as entry point to data science, we invoke not machine learning, not some complex algorithms. We invoke something called data visualization. So we are teaching people how to visualize data. Inside of that process, we don't give them opportunity to use tools up until the last part of the course. So they need to work with their hands. They need to work on the paper. Let's say if the course lasts for 3 weeks, for 2 weeks they are just talking with the trainer. They are working with paper. They are trying to draw something, and then they use tools in the end. And that's how we are trying to build this creativity issue, because once when you put creativity factor in every product, in everything that you do, you see the difference. So this is this, I would say, short or I would say relevant introduction. And now I would like to emphasize some facts about the sector, and then we will take a look at some challenges and opportunities that are coming our way. So the culture is really something that defines the society. It's said that, when you put some emotion in what you do, then you make people think. It's not, you need to be powered with facts, you need to be powered with data, but the emotion is something that really makes the difference, and it's a part of the community. So if you are able to create a culture, we are talking about, or we can hear about the culture of organization, the culture of institution, the culture of the project, etc., etc. So the culture helps us to understand what we really are. So it's really, here it said lifeblood, but I would say it's something that where things can make the difference between something that we do not recognize or don't see, and something that is to be seen. As part of it, creative industries are more towards the economy, so they put things in motion. The creativity acquire attention, help us really to be happier, or from the economical point of view. If we are looking at some successes, if we are looking at some, I would say, creative products or products that are empowered creative industries, we see that it has. We can assure that it has the affection to the economy. So our question for today is how we can support those sectors, because we saw that they are important, to cope with the challenges, and how they can embrace the technology. Because what is really happening now, as I said, if we are talking about jobs of the future, we will see artificial intelligence expert, we will see virtual reality expert, without any understanding of how creative or how culture can help or can improve, or at the end is essential part of these digital products that we are using, because we are talking only about technology. And that brings us to challenges. The first big challenge is skill gap. If we take a look at the numbers, we will see that I think I have a number later in the slides, that there is a huge growth of demand for different kinds of creative skills. I think that the rate is from 25 to 30% annually, but the talents really do not keep the pace, mostly because young people, because of our educational system and everything that surround us, do not see opportunity in creative industries. And that means that maybe we need to help them to think about everything a little bit more. That skill gap is driven with the various challenges that are coming from the society. And when I say society, I don't mean only us as citizens, but also policymakers, people who are dealing with the strategy of education and the labor market. So one of the challenges that we have is a failure to capture specific parts of creative industries inside of the official data. We know that problem in Croatia. For example, if you want to understand how much money or how much resources companies invested, for example, in research, you come to statistical bureau, but they are not really able to help you with the number because they need to recalculate or calculate that number from different statistical reports. So by being able to measure what we are trying to understand here, and if we establish some official data way to capture parts of these creative industries, then we will be able to show really the size of the industry, and that will help to all people to understand the importance of it. The second problem is that these official reports and statistics often fail to reflect new sectors. We often say that these policymakers or whoever is dealing with policy need to be upfront with technologies. So you need to create a policy or ecosystem which help digital technologies to grow. But unfortunately, the characteristics of digital technologies is that they are developing very, very fast. So if you want to be efficient policymaker, you need to be faster than that. So the problem in creating careers of the future is to understand what the future is. And again, if you do not have any way how you will track the changes on the labor market, then you are really not able to express in an easy and understandable way what is really going on. The challenge 3 is the problem of granularity. This problem of lots of freelancers or lots of people who are doing different jobs or various jobs at the same time, because they are spread among subsectors. So sometimes if, for example, lobbyists for the one sector are more aggressive, then we will be talking about, for example, programmers, but not digital designers. We will be talking about e-commerce sites, but not about design or UX of e-commerce site. We will be talking about services or applications that are working on our mobile phone, but we won't be talking about the user experience and the way how do people use the product. Because of that, we need to be able to understand the granularity and talk about that, because there is no silver bullet. You cannot just from one day to another say, okay, I will now use some official statistics and everything will be solved. We need to really understand, to talk to people, for them to understand, to take a look everywhere and then understand where specific points are to be analyzed. The second fact, the second challenge, or the fourth challenge, is this fragmentation of evidence base. What is the problem here? We need to have a common language of understanding what this really is. Okay, why is that so? You understand, when you are dealing with service, when you want to show that something is different, bigger, and I also said that, for example, the demand for such jobs is increasing with a rate of 25%, I need to create some comparison over time. In order to have relevant comparison over time, I need to have something that, or the methodology, or something that can be repeatedly used to measure everything that is happening. We call it dynamics and mechanics of labor market, especially here for cultural and creative industries. That leads us to a kind of mini conclusion, which said that many companies are now really focused on the single owner, or there are small entities, small companies, and they need to be creative and entrepreneurial at the same time. So there is not only a challenge of learning something, but also there is a big point in when and how you will be doing that. All of this is to be done by Digital Innovation Hub, or to be done by establishing a space or a place where they can get all the relevant information, because for them, it's not only to acquire skills, because they're not sitting around and waiting for some skills. They need to understand really the point of their career path and when is the right time to acquire a certain skill. We had a great project for Republic of Croatia that will be announced, I think, by the end of July. We established a digital platform with all the data relevant for labor and educational market, where you can calculate the career path of a person who was, for example, born in Osijek and decide to work, I don't know, in Zagreb or in Split, where you can really measure the skills that someone had that were acquired by the educational system over time, up to the point where you can analyze how much money he was earning. So it took us 3 years to build something like that, and maybe it would be good for us in next maybe some activities to take a look at the statistics over time for creative industries, because then we will be able to measure in some way. That was something that was done by the Ministry of Labor, so we were in a way limited with their approach, but that's something that can be used to measure what is really going on in the market. So on the other side, we have few opportunities that I would like to point out, because on top of that opportunities, or using those opportunities, we will be able to establish a strategy, to create a strategy for future digital innovation hubs, or to understand what you can find in digital innovation or information hubs if there are, for example, in Koprivnica or anywhere else in Europe or in the world. So the first fact is that we need to think about job quality. Okay, so when we are talking about quality related to creativity, then it's not easy to say something is good, something is not good, because it's very personal. Okay, but with good and transparent education or a discussion or to establish a think tank about that, then we can decide about the quality of the work and about the quality of the designer, because in general we can say that there are designers of different qualities, but we need to be more careful, more sophisticated about evaluating the job that they're doing. The second thing is the skill needs. What is the problem here? If I ask you, for example, which skills a creative professional need to have, then we are in a problem, because there are 13 of us today. So it's probably that each one of us will be telling a different story. As part of this portal that I mentioned a couple of minutes ago for the Ministry of Labor, we also used a European classification of skills. So for each occupation that is announced on the portal, we have the collection of skills that Europe decided that they are relevant for that occupation. So with understanding, I don't think that this is something that need to be taken for granted, but I think that this is the start of discussion about not only the skills that are needed for a certain profession in cultural creative industries, but also for young people or older people to understand what will be the next best skill to acquire to improve their career in culture and creativity sector. Now, the third opportunity is to understand the value of creative education. Okay, I would say that there are just a few institutions in Croatia and just a few places, for example, like Koprivnica, where you can really come and ask, and when you can get professional advice about what you should do or what the others did to connect you with international experts, and at the end to present you really the value. That value don't have to be in financial way. It can be, it can be measured in different ways. But for sure, this is something that can help young person or experienced professional to express or to decide to express his opinion, to address what he is doing or she is doing to the market, or really to understand about some adjustments in his or her career path. One of the most important things in this procedure, and we are aware of that because we are an educational institution, is the pipeline of talent. So if I ask you, for example, from where the people who are dealing with, I don't know, some design of your digital products are coming, you will see that, you know, the people are maybe self-trained professionals. Sometimes they have a degree, sometimes they're not. So it's really, really heterogeneous. And what we really need is to establish a strong and regular pipeline of talent. So to establish places where you can constantly come for advice, and where the companies or whoever needs something like that can really come and ask for advice. For example, what we did, we established a company inside of university college. It's called Digital Talents, which enables students to be hired by the companies for smaller jobs in design sector. So, for example, you need to redesign of your logo or design of website or some small part of programming. You can sign the contract with Digital Talents, and the company is owned by the university, so it helps students without really any understanding of how to invoice or how to do anything from the commercial side to do the job, and that company helps them to get paid. So, and that, you know, this is not something that, you know, brings I don't know, big amount of money, and there is no need for that to be profitable for the university, but this helps students or individuals to understand the process of discussing the scope of the project and then invoicing some services at the end. Of course, we talk here about the beginners, about students, people who are entering the labor market, but there are also lots of creative professionals that could really take their place in this market. In the past, when I was younger, we were talking about upskilling. So there was a common idea that people lack of skills, and with the beginning of digital technologies, I could follow that. But unfortunately, in this newer era, digital technologies became so easy to use. So we are mostly talking now about reskill. So if you are a great professional, for example, in some other industry, economy, chemistry, wherever, but at the same time you are creative, then there is a common understanding that sometimes you will be maybe having 2 or 3 careers in your life. So why not switching to creative, or why not having a creative as something that you can use person, or you can use while you are doing your regular job. Opportunity 6, how to be productive when you're creative. I had here a picture, but I put this slide in text because it's easier to understand. You know, the guy who is trying to write a song, and he's, you know, sitting on the dock of the bay, and he said, okay, I'm here to write a song, but I'm sitting on the dock of the bay. If you know the song. So, you know, it's creativity is something, you know, coming from different directions. So being productive don't really mean the same thing like being productive in the company. So we need to, you know, engage people to, you know, think more, I would say. And the last ones, so tackling the diversity. I think that we can all agree that variety of teams brings quality at the end. As they said, the innovation or creativity happens on intersections. So you need to carefully create those intersections, and then by overcoming the barriers, you will at the end, you know, your community will be I would say better. This is maybe a simple word that I can think about. And the last one, we need to create these local talent pools. So there is a line, there is a title in this European documents. It said global trends, local impact. So what is really happening? We need to understand global trends, because without being able to connect to the global trends, then we will miss for sure. But at the end, we need to adapt that to our local businesses, because sometimes our local businesses really don't have time to understand all of the trends. For sure, they have lots of energy, but this transition part is something that we need to be aware of. Well, In this last part of the presentation, I will just focus on some European experiences and give you some guidelines about how to build a hub. But first, let's take a look at this this point. I already talked about this, but we just follow this through. So there is a big trend of development of all kinds of technology. And you will agree with me that you don't see such development, not only from the perspective of how many people are interested or taking place in the development, but also how many attention people spend or society spend when they are talking about culture. We could say maybe that these younger generations, they are not paying so much attention to culture. I would say that that's wrong, but generally that's something that that could be also a challenge. So the fact is, or the task for us is how to close this gap between development of the importance of culture or the perception of culture, besides or versus this growing trend of technology. I have a separate slide to discuss shortly about that. So and then why is it happening? So we already spoke about that. This is a wrap up. So the barriers to innovation in culture is high degree of fragmentation, so many different cultural trends, so many different points when we are trying to measure creativity, okay? And at the same time, lack of investment. So the problem with investment is not only about this engagement of potential investors, but the complexity of the space where they need to invest. So if we empower people from culture and creative industries to easier understand and explain what they are trying to do, then I believe that investment will come towards them, because we can easily show, and this is why data innovation hubs are here for. We can easily show that impact, as I said, is a very important part in creativity, and that also that all brings us to, by doing that, to build a culture of our society. At the same time, technical and entrepreneurial skills are poorly integrated. I will show you in next slides. We had a project with Academy of Arts in Croatia, and we had several challenges. First, there was a common idea that people who are creating some creative, so who are developing some creative products, that they want to show them, show those products to the world. Unfortunately, this is not always the case. And okay, that's personal opinion. So if I build something, I don't need to show it to the world, and we need to be aware of that. So that's part of the privacy issue. But we had another challenge, and it was like, if we focus too much on this commercial part, then we can jeopardize this creativity part. So it's not everything. It's not about the money, but this industry needs money to keep up with what they do, and harmonizing or balancing these two is really something that that need to be done carefully. Okay. Because this is the global industry, and it will be more and more important in months and years to come. Now, when we are talking about this harmonization, this balancing between commercial and creative, I used some slides from the University of Sao Paulo. There was a document which tried to identify or to put some structure in this, what they call Culture 3.0, but in general, what is important here is these parts when you can see the difference or the gradation between arts, cultural industry, creative industries, and innovation. So if you put innovation in everything, then you really empower what you do. But those dots, orange dots, are the place where you put, for example, your digital innovation hub in. So you need to be aware where you are really playing. And where is your area inside of this graph? Why is this good? Because as you can take a look, they introduce the topic symbolic capital. So as I said, it's not everything is not about the money. sometimes if you don't have the culture, you can ask yourselves, okay, without the culture, what would we be? So they put, in order to measure it, they put this on the side of symbolic capital. So it's the same like capital, but you don't really use money. Now, what you really have here is the decision in these boxes where your hub will operate in. It will nicely be connected to the guidelines at the end about how to establish a hub. Inside of Europe, what we saw is that if you are looking for the information about any industry on the internet, then it's not easy to find what is important and what's not. There were many experiments about the behavior of society. So when you put some news, fake news, when you put some information, how the society will spread the word about that. So without really guidance, sometimes it's not easy to understand what is really important, which skill is important. Competitive or not, and then at the end, can we really access everything that is needed for us, especially in the digital world, to do our job? Sometimes in this first phase, the hubs were solving this problem of having enough, especially digital resources, so internet connection, space, something like that. But over time, this connectivity part, working together on the products, internationalization, developing of the business is something that is more and more important. So if you're talking about Croatia, unfortunately, this is a map of Croatia in terms of municipalities. So when you take a look at those cities and everything, you have lots of different cities. So what we mostly use is this regional view of the map. What I would like to emphasize here is this global trends, local impact. Sometimes local impact, for example, in Croatia, meaning that you need to understand really this small part of Croatia, or at least to have the connectivity to put together different cities inside of a big hub, for example, like Koprivnica. Of course, when we are taking a look at some experiences from big companies, you see here in blue one of the biggest or most important thing to innovate generally from the companies, and especially for SMEs, is this ecosystem. Without ecosystem, you really have a problem. And that ecosystem, you see this in black, need to have purpose. So we create ecosystems with purpose, okay, to establish, and now take a look in blue on the right side, to establish talent feed. So these are the most important things for us to consider. And when we are talking about Digital Innovation Hub, that hub need to work like an orchestrator. If you are dealing with data platforms, you saw this term. It's introduced a couple of years ago. And the most common characteristics of the orchestrator is that one cannot unilaterally choose to be an orchestrator. So we cannot say we are the orchestrator, because we create a service, we create a community, and then we need to be accepted by the members of the ecosystem. So the service is successful when it's used by the customers. If it's not used by the customers, then it's not successful. Okay. The orchestrator need to be considered as someone who establishes controls and manages the resources. So you need to pay attention on how you spend your resources, and you need to be vertical of trust. So when you say that something is relevant, then it should be relevant. And at the end, when we talk about digital services, we always think about the needs of individuals, because we are not building, even often the entrepreneurs are building some service that which can help their own problem, but at the end they are building the service for the users. They need to be aware of those users. So when we are talking about the hub, think about this picture. You are the guy in the middle on the red carpet. And if they start to play, you won't be paying lots of attention if one violin or one instrument won't be playing at all. But you will understand when everybody is playing and put some emotion in the tune, you will see that, you know, that's different. You will feel that that's different. So think about this picture when you will be building your innovation hub. And now, as a closure, EU experience, as my colleague already said, this was the graphics that European Union used when they start working with digital hubs. And they were looking to create competitive international network for all economic sectors. When they did the survey back then, they say that just one out of 5 companies is highly digitized, and there is a big need for digitalization in general. But this was in 2016. So now we are in 2021, and the documents are more or less the same. So now we need to act, I would say, locally to follow this support that EU did. And now we come to the end, and this is the discussion about 10 steps to think about when you are setting your hub. So as you said, take a look at the funding, because you are doing something that is very important, especially if you are dealing with culture and creative industries. Also, if you are looking to follow a certain hub, try to help the hub to get traction and to get some fundings, mostly from the governmental, but also from some commercial projects, because I believe that the number of people who will be interested in such services is quite big. What is needed is a strong leader, facilitator, orchestrator, and you need to create such hub with a partnership of some institution which already have relevance, or in a region where you can recognize the elements that we talked about today. Define a target audience. This is important. You can have different target audiences, but with defining a target audience, you will easier get traction, because then you will address what you do and you will inform the market about what you do to very specific target audience. This could be something like digital technologies, but for example, if you are talking about culture and creative, you need to split culture and creative and try to address to those companies separately. Think about your stakeholders who will be the partnering in your hub. What is the size of the region where you are trying to establish a hub, because you need to act or to have impact local. And then do you have a space where you'll be doing that? I think this is the easier point, but this is something that is also very important. And what technology you would like to provide with which people? And is there any skill gaps? For that, you need to understand skills. You need to be a bit smarter in a way that how you do express the points that you're doing. And final thing is create a sustainability plan, because sometimes lots of these initiatives ends when the project ends. Sustainability is something that Europe will be having a focus on. I believe that even with a small or a brief sustainability plan, but if you start with having in mind all that we said today, then you can grow along the way. So this is my 40 minutes. Thank you for the attention. If there will be any additional questions, I'm here to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo, for reviewing CCI in terms of DIG and explaining the different aspects of it. I would like to ask partners if you have questions related to this.
Hi. Well, I have a question. I don't know if you already said that, but because I didn't know the digital innovation hubs. What's the purpose of these hubs? Is it public, or does it work through private membership of companies? So is any company can use it, or is only for those companies who pay a membership or something like that?
No. So whatever we do inside of the hub, it's split it between. So, for example, we are supporting national authorities or ministries as the advisors. Mm-hmm. I think more often pro bono than they are paying something. But we are also apply for the commercial project, because once when you have the experts, when you have a talent feed, then we put together a group of people who have the energy with people who know how to do it, and we use the institution to apply for the commercial projects. As part of this EDIH initiative, Europe is funding 50% for the selected European digital innovation hubs. And the last thing, for our incubator, it's fully free, because we are doing that because we would like to give the opportunity for our students to take part in the entrepreneurial part. And with that, we are spreading the word that we are doing something like that, so we have more students in the next generation. So in a way, the incubator is free, but we use that as a commercial or as something that empower future students to apply for algebra.
Okay.
So it's more or less like that. But whatever we do, we are funding that with our own money. We are not funded by the government in any way. That's a problem for us, but that's the fact.
Okay, thank you.
So you're focusing on students or general population that like to go on entrepreneurial way?
General population. We had people from 20 to 65. Last year we had one team coming from United States, because we have a good communication with venture capital funds, with the banks, etc., and we do not invest in the teams. We just help them to grow. We are focusing on the impact that we can give to them during this 4 months of the incubator program. And at the end, we create a big event where we present them to the community, to our community. When with our recommendation, then they can get some fundings from the people who are doing that. So we had a team from US. They told us that in US, if they are asking for investment, because they are from Croatia, they will need to give 90% of the ownership for the investment. So they came to Croatia, because in Croatia, it's in this incubation phase, it's up to 100,000 euro for 5% of the ownership. And after the acceleration period, it's up to 1 million euro for approximately 15% of the ownership. Because they are from Croatia and they get the investment from Croatian venture capital fund. In US, it's different because the market is more competitive. So we had teams like that, but we also have students who just have the idea and a PowerPoint presentation, and they would like to start and to learn something during the process.
Okay, so these investments are from private investors or from I don't know, municipality or public some public entities? These investments they get, are they from venture capitalists or?
During the process of incubation, we were, for example, help them to acquire this vouchering system. It's up to 15,000 euro per batch. But these bigger investments, at the moment in Croatia, we have communication with 4 venture capital funds. It's around 300 million euro at the moment available, like Feel Rouge Capital, like Feels Good Capital. And it's they are not private investments. They are investments from these institutions or venture capital funds that are here to invest. Now, for them, the big challenge is to who will they invest. So if they need to go through the process of selecting on their own, it's not easy for them to do that. So we do the selection, and in a way we prepare people by teach them some skills how to build their case during this 4-month period. So then they are easily recognized by such venture capital funds.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
If we don't have any questions, thank you, Leo, for this inspiring presentation. I will suggest that we have a 10-minute break, or should we continue with another presentation, as you wish?
If we can do a short break. Maybe.
Okay, then 10 minutes, 15,
Okay.
10. Okay.
Okay.
So are we all here? Now I will share my presentation regards Living Lab. So this will be our second topic for today. We will have a short presentation regards Living Lab, and afterwards our expert Jurica Perko will continue with a more practical part. The term Living Lab. Scientists from MIT were first exploring a concept of living lab. They argue that a living lab represents a user-centric methodology for sensing, prototyping, validating, and refine complex solutions in multiple and evolving real-life contexts. Nowadays, several living lab descriptions and definitions are available from different sources. So what is a living lab? It is a contrast to traditional laboratory, which operates in a real life context with a user-centric approach. The physical and organizational boundaries of a living lab are defined by purpose, scope, and the context. A living lab could be established on a street, in a house, with an organization, or include a whole city or industry, depending on the project. A living lab is a research concept which may be defined as a user-centered open innovation ecosystem, which is often operating in territorial context, e.g. city, agglomeration, a region, or campus, and it integrates a research and innovation process within a public-private people partnership. Living Lab main objective is to create new products and services, also an appropriate infrastructure to the real needs of society. The process involves both private and public groups. These are the spaces where technological prototypes are developed and tested, and for improving citizens' welfare, and which will have a real and proven effectiveness. The concept of Living Lab is based on systematic user co-creation approach, integrating research and innovation process. Such cases involve user communities, not only as observed subject, but those who are resources of creation. This consideration may be made at the earlier stage of research and development and through all elements of the project life cycle, from designing up to recycling. A living lab is not similar to a testbed, as its philosophy is to turn users from being traditionally considered as observed subjects for testing models against requirements into value creation, and in contributing in co-creation and exploring emerging ideas, breakthrough scenarios, innovative concepts, and related artifacts. Hence, Living Lab rather constitutes as an experimental environment, which could be compared to concept of experimental learning, where users are immersed in creative social space for designing and experiencing their own future. Living Labs could also be used by the policy makers and citizens for designing, exploring, experimenting, and refining new policies and regulation in real-life scenarios for evaluating their potential impact before implementation.
Marta is having trouble to get in.
So why to organize living labs? When approaching complex challenges that exist and involve in a real life context, it becomes very hard to single actor to find the right solution. So by collaborating and co-creating the solutions with the end users and all the actors involved, the complexity and uncertainty is reduced, and the chance of finding a sustainable solution is increased. The benefits, other benefits of Living Lab. The Living Labs approach offer benefits to companies, users, developers, and public financiers. Companies benefit through cost-effective access and the end users' data and user experience. They also save money for being able to make changes to a product much earlier in development stage, and everything is based on their feedback. Over the long term, Living Lab activities also tie customers to a company and its activities. Users gain opportunities to influence development of the product. They also benefit from the solutions they are developed, which in many cases are solving problems that affect their everyday lives and which may have been in other ways unsolvable. Users also may perceive a new driven products by more functional because of the co-creative development process. Oh, I'm sorry. The Living Labs also contribute to the core activities of developers. The Living Labs bring opportunities to resources, and the developers bring their capabilities to develop real-world solutions to the users' problems. And finally, public financiers benefit from the activities and outcomes that support their objectives. In addition to the benefits to participants, Living Labs also provide advantages for the other types of innovative activities. A Living Lab is one form of emerging open innovation network that provide many benefits for companies and other organizations, and it offers many research opportunities to scholars. So Matea will continue and give you the example of Living Lab Koprivnica.
Yes, I will present you Living Lab, which we have in Koprivnica. It is for innovative public lighting. So in the vital area of the city Koprivnica, scientists and companies that provide public lighting solutions, the public sectors and citizens jointly can test and create new solutions for even more efficient management of the energy system. Primary goal is to save energy by using LED-based public lighting. The outdoor laboratory will enable the application of the latest technology and produce a variety of applicable solutions. So the citizens are also included, and their feedback and expression from them and their needs is crucial for the research and the public institutions, and also for the project partners in order to develop efficient prototypes for wide use as soon as possible. So this collected experience through the visual experience of new models of the public lighting are the starting point for innovative solutions in the field of mobility, ecology, and waste management. So this is the possible advantages of the using of public lighting. Some of them are charging electric cars and bicycles, remote control, solar power, sound notifications, digital notifications, digital street signs, and etc. So the Living Lab can be used in several sectors. It can be useful for the private sectors. So companies have the opportunity to test innovative solutions, charging electric cars and bicycles, the introduction of the 5G communication network, energy savings for traffics also are additional features that that are available in the test area. For the public sector, it can merge and European ecosystem place. Also, the available infrastructure of the Living Lab and the synergy of the stakeholders will affect the introduction of the smart city solutions, because Koprivnica is a smart city, and raise the level of the quality of life for the citizens. And for the scientists, also researchers and academic institutions can use this living lab as a test field, as a test zone, and also make a group research work in which, in addition to researchers, citizens, and technology companies can also actively participate. So here are the in the next slide you can see the project partners that are top technology companies that are already included in our living lab. And in the next slide, you can see how it can be used in the creative industries. So in our incubator of creative industries, we place 3D holo display, which is a high-test solution for displaying, creating, and managing 3D video content with a holographic effect. So it is a combination of a high-tech unit for creating, projecting, and managing 3D video content with a holographic effect that allows remote control and transmission of content. 3D holo display is primarily intended for all those involved in marketing and anyone who wants to make their products more visible, accessible, and almost tangible by displaying in its space. The new and innovative dimension of displaying objects is because it is a 360 degrees digital experience of the selected product. So this is an advanced technical solution that brings long desired promotion opportunities and gives a 3D effect to your advertising. It is the new infrastructure of the Living Lab in Koprivnica. So installation of this 3D holo display presentation is possible in two forms. It can be with or without the protective dome, and the choice itself depends on the needs of the users and the place. And the device is adapted to both open and closed space. Koprivnica was also awarded for the Living Lab project at the 5th conference Smart Cities. Something went wrong with my, okay. It's here. At the 5th Smart Cities Conference 2019 in the category Smart Energy Environment, thanks to the Living Lab project. So it is very important to know that the Living Lab will address a variety of issues and opportunities to the lives of the citizens. I'm now inviting my expert, Jurica Perko from the Regional Energy Agency from Koprivnica, who is in one part guilty for this award. To present Living Lab Koprivnica and detailed usage of it. So Jurica, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone, just confirm to me that you can see my screen in full screen.
Yes,
yes.
We can see.
Yep. Good. So, hello everyone, my name is Jurica. I'm Business Development Manager from Regional Energy Agency North from Koprivnica, and I'm at the same time Project Manager of Living Lab Koprivnica. So, Vesna and Matea, thank you very much for this introduction in Living Lab Koprivnica, and I will walk you a little bit deeper in Living Lab Koprivnica to show you how we do it from the pure idea to realization, and to show you our business model, how to gather and mobilize stakeholders inside and so on. So here is a short outline of my presentation today. I will firstly talk about background of the project and introduce you Living Lab Koprivnica, then something about benefits of Living Lab. We will touch business model and management principles. What do we do? What do we did until now, and what are our plans for the future? And after that, we can discuss all open questions and anything you would like to know more on our approach and Living Lab Koprivnica. So, Living Lab Koprivnica was established primarily for public lighting systems to help decision makers to choose the right product and the right technology to renew old, inefficient systems. So, to show national potential, there are key facts that helped us in realization of idea that was in development for years. Because we started to develop this idea of Living Lab in 2016, and we established it in 2019. So it took 3-4 years from pure idea to establishment. So there are key facts that we are referring to. The first one is that there are 770,000 lamps in Croatia that are supplying from 22,000 metering points with installed power of more than 100 megawatts. Public lighting systems in Croatia can consume more than 425 gigawatt hours per year. So there is a huge potential. It is a huge energy consumed on public lighting systems, and it is also reflecting the budget of the city for energy, and that is a significant percentage of that public lighting can consume, referring to the energy budget in each public authority. Public lighting systems in Croatia is based on technology of high pressure sodium and high pressure mercury technology, and as well metal halogen. In recent times, we are transferring to LED technology. So this is a new manageable technology. But what is more important in Croatia is that according to Croatian legislative framework, public lighting has become communal activity since 1998. It was in property of Croatian national electricity utility, but they has transferred equipment ownership to the local authorities. Development as new technologies are developing, I mean on LEDs, public authorities has a right, because it is their property, to change technology itself. So they don't have to ask national companies for permissions and for some certificates or something else to do it. They can do it on their own. And it is important that LED is much efficient, and there is they left enough power to power smart city components, and since public lighting infrastructure is one component of smart city concept, there is possibility to utilize existing infrastructure, and we do it in Living Lab Koprivnica. So you will see how. So we started with Living Lab for outdoor lighting because of its great potential. And by the way, public lighting is something visible, and it is important to attract more partners that are not connected with lighting technologies. So the first step should be to establish communication infrastructure, but this is something that is not visible and you cannot feel it. So to attract more partners in Living Lab, not only for lighting solutions, but for communication infrastructures, e-mobility, smart city solutions. It was good step to start it with public lighting, because we could show something. The aim of the establishment of the first Croatian Living Lab for outdoor lighting was to create a real environment with the conditions to test, compare, and promote products of our partners. So we can call it a live showroom for them. They can show their products to users, and users can try and evaluate their products in the real environment. When I say users, we are talking about public authorities, so decision makers, and citizens, because public lighting is there because of us, citizens of the cities and municipalities. We see Living Lab as open working environment, which includes partners, users, public institutions, and scientific and research institutions that all together make a quadruple helix. So partners can promote and test their products. Users have an impact on the innovations they need, so they can evaluate and give to the partners feedback on tested solutions and on innovations they would like to deploy in the environment. There is also public institution, or I can say cities and municipalities as owners of public lighting systems that must ensure adequate lighting of roads and public areas. So this is one of key stakeholders in our quadruple helix. And there is also scientific and research institutions that can conduct research in the real environment. And this is always good for students to feel reality. There is always open question of why to do it in Koprivnica. Koprivnica is a small city, and who will come in Koprivnica to see it. Since this is one and only Living Lab for outdoor lighting in Croatia, and I can say in south and east part of Europe, we can say that there is more than 5,500 public authorities in Croatia that are interested in it and that need to improve their lighting system. But it is often very hard to choose right lighting solutions, referring to specific requirements primarily received from people living around, and Living Lab is a great opportunity to show them number of different lighting solutions at one place. So when you come to Living Lab, you can see a lot of different solutions in just a few in few streets. So you can compare it live on the field. So just to emphasize the fact that public lighting system, as well as any other smart city solution, is there because of us. So to improve everyday quality of life, this is all about the citizens and all about us. So this is good opportunity for citizens to give their feedback to producers and distributors of smart city solutions, and here in Living Lab Koprivnica as well for lighting technologies. There are key components of Living Lab. The first one is infrastructure. We started, as I already said, we started with public lighting system. So our main infrastructure is lighting poles, poles, cables, public lighting cabinets, metering points, and so on. So the key in our establishment was infrastructure. City gave infrastructure us for management, and we can manage the infrastructure. We can provide this infrastructure to our partners, and they can test their solution free of charge in the real environment using infrastructure that is in property of City of Koprivnica. This is a really important part. Then we have partners, users, and researchers. Partners and users are working together, partners to present new solutions, users to test and evaluate new products, and of course, as I already mentioned, there are researchers that provide and conduct analysis of innovation needs, preparation of studies, and scientific and research activities. And there is top management of Living Lab. We as Reanot are managing Living Lab Koprivnica. We are preparing and operating Living Lab. We are dealing with problems of infrastructure alignment, and we are dealing with partners and users. We are caring of their involvement in Living Lab Koprivnica. So I already mentioned that public lighting infrastructure is one component of the smart city concept. Public lighting infrastructure is good because it is well distributed across the city and has not been utilized during the day. So you can see our first step was to install LED lighting. We step into modernization of public lighting system with LED technology, which can be managed using some wireless devices and softwares and so on. And because it can be managed, we can integrate a lot of different smart city solutions and renewable energy sources. So local authorities as well as electricity distribution systems, system operators should not view public lighting system or public lighting infrastructure only as a tool for illuminating roads, but as shared infrastructure taking into account other options, such as some previously mentioned smart city solutions. So you can integrate and use infrastructure for anything. You can integrate EV charging station into existing infrastructure, so you are lowering initial costs of installation and digging and putting cables inside the ground, and you are also lowering the cost of purchased power and so on. So there are a number of benefits of utilization of existing infrastructure. So in continuation, I will touch benefits of Living Lab. When talking about the idea of Living Lab, and while we were in development phase, we talked about possible needs when looking from the point of partners and users. And through this Living Lab, we decided to find some solutions. So partners' needs are lack. There is a lack of the possibilities of testing in real environment. They need some area where they can test their solutions. So they all of the producers have their own polygons and where they can test their solutions, but they don't have users to evaluate it. So this is the first need. And as I already said, Living Lab can serve as open something as a new additional sales channel. We call it showroom. From the user's point of view, there is a possibility of gaining immediate experience of using advanced technologies, and they can influence on the development of the solutions they need. So they can provide their feedback on what they see and on what do they really need. And if something went wrong or something is not good for them, they can provide information and they can be involved in the process of development of new technologies. And what's missing with scientific and research institutions is a possibility of working in a real environment, especially for students. There is a need for more intensive cooperation of students with private companies and the right place where they are going to be employed after their studies. And here is a solution, Living Lab Koprivnica. We provided infrastructure in real environment. This is friendly business and environment. We are gathering all them together. We as Living Lab managers, we are organizing different events and we are some kind of contact point to merge all relevant stakeholders and keep them at one place. We are also providing access to additional infrastructures. There is a possibility for some needs to provide other communal infrastructure that is connected to water management system, water treatment system, and so on. And we see Living Lab as additional sales channel. Key activities that are present in our Living Lab is organization of thematic events and conducting organized tours. We had some conferences here in Koprivnica, and we are gathering a lot of mayors and city mayors and municipality mayors, decision makers that really need that solution in their cities, and also we are gathering them and with our partners and providing them to find the right solutions. We are also here to advise them about possible solutions and about the right choices for them. We also offering a lot from the infrastructure, not only for lamps. We are also offering for, I can say, for companies that are developing metering, smart metering systems. We are also providing infrastructure to do it here on the objects in Koprivnica and so on. And we are offering also visibility. We have developed one interactive web platform of Living Lab Koprivnica. You can see it after, and they or any interested citizen or stakeholder can access this web platform and can reach our partner in terms of the business that is relevant to them. Here is our business model and management principles. We are primarily based on industry funding. In the first stage, manufacturers and distributors of lamps or other smart city solutions are going to donate lamps to the city to ensure visibility, presence in the living lab. So we are not buying the products. They have to provide it free of charge. Industry have to provide it free of charge. Renault, as a project manager, is here for operationally managing the living lab and being in charge of the business development of the project. There is a city of Koprivnica that opens its resources and infrastructure to test and deploy new solutions and acquire knowledge that can be used in its further development. And there is public lighting maintainer. It is a local communal utility that is compulsory in the living lab area to carry out all the activities envisaged by the annual public lighting maintenance program and to implement the activities of installations of new lamps and smart city solutions and to integrate it into public lighting system or some other infrastructure. And where we are and what are the key steps of establishment of Koprivnica. The first phase was preparation activities. We had to adjust infrastructure because infrastructure wasn't adjusted to include so many partners because we had to separate test fields for each stakeholder, for each partner, and we made test fields for them for easier moving through the living lab for citizens and for easier experience inside it. The second step was installation of the equipment. We have installed equipment on specified test fields. Primarily, I'm here primarily talking about public lighting solutions, but there are so many solutions installed until now that are not related to public lighting system. You will see later. And the third step, we are here now. It is further development in case of need. The city of Koprivnica and Renault will consider the option of further development and expansion depending on needs of any new partner or on the needs of existing partners. Opening was in March 2019. Here is the picture, the photo of our first 7 partners in Living Lab. It was opening ceremony. Here is city mayor and managing director of our agency, and we gave them certificates of involvement in Living Lab Koprivnica. So it was a very good event, especially for networking, because we gathered a lot of partners from the business and a lot of decision makers from public authorities. We started with one part of the city of Koprivnica. This quart is called Lenišće, with 24 test fields and more than 140 lighting places. So this is how it looks like. This is one piece from the Living Lab Koprivnica web page, and you can click on each pin and you can reach a producer or distributor of lighting solutions. These are lighting producers and distributors of public lighting systems and lamps that are already involved in city or in Living Lab Koprivnica. After public lighting system, we approached to installation of communication infrastructure. It is LoRaWAN network. LoRaWAN IoT is a wireless technology for long distance communication. It enables connection of battery powered IoT devices and low, slow powered devices to communicate with internet connected applications over long range wireless connections. So this is one technology that we used for communication. And another one is Sigfox network. Sigfox is a similar communication infrastructure as LoRaWAN. It is planned to test smart city services in the form of various pilot projects of innovative solutions. This is the same communication infrastructure as similar, I can say, as LoRaWAN, and it can be used for smart parking, smart waste management, I don't know, smart metering, and so on and so on. For partners in Living Lab Koprivnica, using the network, Sigfox network and LoRaWAN network is free of charge for demonstrative needs. So they can, each partner can use these networks free of charge and test their solutions. And I think that this is good opportunity for all of them. As Matea already mentioned, we have integrated 3D holographic system. 3D holo display can be also integrated in a public lighting system to provide various informations to the citizens, from traffic signs and, for example, I don't know, maybe COVID recommendations to digital ads and so on. We have this one installed in the building where Enter is located, and the similar one can be and will be soon integrated in the infrastructure of public lighting system. We have another smart gadget or smart hardware in our Living Lab. It is Smart Socket. Smart Socket is our new smart device that is primarily intended for households. This socket can measure electricity consumption on remote, and you can track electricity consumption on each socket for each device inside the house. We have a lot of plans for the future. The first one is monitoring and management of public lighting and the smart city solutions. We have 4 companies that are interested in development of such application. We would like to ensure power supply 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We are also approaching to test it in the public lighting system with one partner. We are also we have plan for integration of EV charging stations in the public lighting system, and some other smart city solutions and smart home solutions. And as well as Matea already mentioned, City of Koprivnica won the award in the category of smart energy and environment thanks to its Living Lab project. So award committee noted that Living Lab addresses various problems and opportunities to improve the lives of citizens and optimize the use of city resources through the introduction of opportunities to develop and test different functionalities. So we are really proud of that award, and we hope that it will help us to acquire much more partners inside the Living Lab. So it is 30 minutes from the start of my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm here to try to answer your questions, and I'm open for discussion. If you have anything that you would like to know more, feel free to ask.
Thank you, Jurica, for sharing your knowledge on the usage of public lighting and exploring living lab principles. Partners, do you have any questions or no? Then we will continue now with our third topic, which will be UX design. Just to find my slide. Okay, our third topic, as I said, was it will be UX design. We will start with a short presentation of history. So the UX design was created in term in the 19th century when great thinkers like Taylor and Ford began to interacting basic experience design principles in their production process. So on a mission to make human labor more efficient, Taylor conducted extensive research into interaction between workers and their tools, just like UX designers do today, and investigate how users interact with products or services. Then their engineers aren't the only one who had a part to play in history of the UX. And it may not seem like the most obvious candidate, but Walt Disney often is held as one of the first UX designers in the history. He was obsessed with creating a magical, immersive, near-perfected user experience, and the way how he set his Disney World was a true stroke of the UX. Disney envisioned a place where the latest technology can be used to improve the lives of people, and that is a vision that today UX designers have. Then in 1995, Donald Norman gives UX design a name. By this point, user experience design was very much happening, but it just didn't have a label yet. And Norman, a cognitive scientist, joined the team of Apple in early 90s as their user experience architect, which made him the first person that has UX in his job title. He came up with the term user experience design as a way of compensating of all that UX is. So what is the UX design? UX focus on the interaction between real human users like you and me, and everyday products and services such as websites, apps, even coffee machines. It is extremely varied discipline, which combines aspects of psychology, business, market research, design, and technology. As you can see, UX designers are expected to wear many different hats. So UX experience compensates all aspects of the end user's interaction with the company, its services, and its products. UX designers combine market research, project development, strategy, and design to create seamless user experience for products, services, and processes. They build a bridge to the customer, helping the company to better understand and fulfill their needs and expectations. So Matea will continue with what an UX designer job is.
Okay, thank you, Vesna. During the inspiration stage, the UX designer seeks to understand and observe. To do this, they conduct extensive research and competitor analysis in order to fully grasp the problem or challenge they are setting how to solve. This involves interviewing those who are or will be directly engaged with the product. The designer then uses this feedback to identify their user goals, emotions, pain points, and behaviors. And all of this information help to form user personas. The next step is to consider what these personas are trying to accomplish when using a particular product and the journey they will take to do so. The designer considers information architecture and uses various techniques. So the UX designers not only come up with the solutions to the user's problems, they also need to present their ideas and designs to key stakeholders as a part of day-to-day work. Okay. So this is just a broad overview what the UX designer do. So I can mention that larger companies might employ a team of designers, which each focusing on a specific aspect of the process, such as research or visual design. So the UX designers will ask themselves the following questions. Is the product usable? Is it logical? Does the product or service solve an existing problem? Is it accessible for different categories of users? Is the product or services desirable? So in addition to design specific programs, designers also use communication and project management tools to keep track of their work at all times. Okay, the next is what kind of project UX designers works on. As the tech industry grows, the fields of UX design is becoming increasingly varied. So the UX designers can find themselves working on a wide range of projects within various contexts. So from commerce websites to dating apps, customer relationship management softwares, to web-based email clients, each and every journey you take has been carefully designed by the UX design. So the difference between UX and user interface design is these two things are not the same. User interface refers to the actual interface of a product. The visual design of the screens user navigates through when using a mobile app, or the buttons they click when browsing a website. User interface design is concerned with all the visual and interactive elements of a product interface, covering everything from typography to color palettes to animations and navigation touch points. So user experience and user interface design go hand to hand, and design of the product interface has a huge impact on the overall user experience. So we are very lucky to have a great user experience expert here with us, Mr. Andrej Šarić. He's a software engineer and a lecturer who will explain you on real examples what user experience designer is doing. So
great, thank
the floor is yours.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrej. So yeah, I'm primarily a software developer. I focus in development of web apps, mobile apps, and everything, and it goes hand in hand with user experience as well. So everything that I build, I have to actually adhere to some principles from UX to provide the users a good user experience. Aside from being a developer, I'm also a faculty member at RIT Croatia, where I teach courses in programming, mobile development, and web development as well. So quite a lot of things. So my presentation today, or training today, I'll do is basically I'll go through the training materials that I prepared for the platform. So I will kind of do a rundown through the materials to kind of give you an idea what these materials that I built have, what is their content, and later on, if you wish to use them, you can easily find what you're looking for and kind of have an idea what's there. So let me just share the screen. Can everyone see this? Hopefully, yeah, good. So see, it's not a regular PowerPoint presentation. I apologize for that. So it will be a bit bigger and all over the place, but it looks like a book, kind of like a handbook, sort of like a cheat sheet that will help you to look at the user experience through specific examples. So that's the main idea of this of these materials. With that, Vesna, thank you very much for the introduction into the UX. That was great. And I love that you included the last slide, which explained that there is a difference between UI and UX. Okay, unfortunately, there is a big possibility that someone will create something that has a great and amazing UI. It will look really, really amazing, but unfortunately, it will not really be usable, and the experience that user gets from it will not be good. User will be confused and won't know what to do. This is something that we want to avoid. So let's jump into the examples here. Some of the topics in these materials that we have are usability heuristics, laws of UX, color theory, and fonts. Today, I believe I'll just focus on the usability heuristics and laws of UX, and then at the end, if there's still some time left, I can run through the color theory and fonts, we'll see. But these first two topics, in my opinion, are most important ones. So usability heuristics were actually coined by Jakob Nielsen. He's a Danish researcher and one of the best people in the world to ask about the usability of web and user experience in general. These usability heuristics are basically principles, more like rules of thumb that you use to kind of deduct whether your product is usable for the users. Once again, they are not really rules. They are more like general guidelines, okay? But the good thing about them is if you have a product, you can just run through them. There's 10 of them. You can run through them and kind of check and test whether your product is actually usable. Does it conform to these guidelines? And this is a really, really good thing to do at the start of the project. And a great thing about these usability heuristics is you do not really have to do a complete user testing to achieve that. It's enough for one person to run through these 10 principles and kind of check if your product fits them all. So a really, really great thing at the beginning of the project. First principle is the visibility of the system status. There's a lot of text here. I won't really pay much attention to that. I will more talk about what we have here in the examples. So we have two examples here. And when we talk about the visibility of the system status as a principle, every action has a reaction, okay? And it's important for us in our products to actually demonstrate that to the user, okay? So as a first example would be opening, unlocking a phone on the iPhone. The first thing that you'll see, and even when it's locked, or just lighting up the display, you'll see the time and you will see these icons here which specify your battery level, your internet connectivity, and your cellular signal, okay? And these are important information for the user. And user has them on at the glance, just by making the phone active. Second thing is, here is an example of a screen in the App Store. And you see when the user clicks on the Games tab in the bottom navigation, the first thing that pops up there is actually a loading animation, which is a really, really good thing to provide a visibility of the status of the app or whatever, because now the user knows this is not frozen. There's no content, but it's not frozen. Content is actually being loaded. So user is not left without any clue what's happening. So this is a very, very nice example of that. And you will see this actually being applied everywhere. The next thing that really is fun, and that's why I have two screenshots here. You will notice that down here, we have this button navigation bar in both App Store app and the Instagram app. They all have some icons down there, which are used for the navigation for the user. And you will notice that in both of these things, one icon has a different color, or in this case, it's a bit more bolded than Instagram, to specify where this user actually located. So this is actually the status of the system right now. In the example of the App Store, we are currently on the Games tab, while in the example of the Instagram, we're currently on the Homepage tab. These are just some simple examples. You actually get in touch with this principle a lot. If you're using Google Drive, if you upload something to the Google Drive, in the bottom right corner, you will notice that there is like a pop-up that shows this progress bar and showing you how much of your data has been uploaded up there. And when you're downloading, you also get a progress bar showing you how much of the download percentage is done. So these are all things that fit under this visibility of the system status principle, a very, very important principle to make sure that your user knows what is happening with the product at any point in time. Next thing is a bit, I would say that it's actually becoming more and more invisible nowadays, matching between the system and the real world. There's some really, really good examples about this one. Looking at the calculator on the Mac OS, you see it looks a lot like an actual physical calculator. Looking at the trash can, both in Windows and Mac OS, it looks like an actual trash can. And the idea of this principle is we want to give our users kind of a familiar experience by using the conventions and kind of behaviors and looks and feels from the real world. All of us know when we see a trash can, we use it to throw some trash, something that we do not need anymore into it. The same thing happens here with the trash can being an icon and a symbol in the Windows and Mac OS. The same thing happens with the folder structure on Mac OS or the phone book. In the past, we used something like this to store the numbers for our friends, family, and so on and so on. Even though we don't really use that much anymore in a physical sense, we still see it in macOS as the icon. So combining system and the real world is really, really good. It gives kind of like a clear message to the user. This is what this thing does. And the user will kind of just connect the dots between the real world and your product. User control and freedom, another principle. In my opinion, this is one of the very, very important principles. And I would really like if more apps and websites actually included this thing. So mistakes happen, right? It's completely normal for our users to make mistakes. And we actually have two types of mistakes. I didn't really go into detail here in these materials, but we have slip-ups and actual mistakes. The example here that we have is the Gmail app. I took the drafts there, I deleted the draft, and you see what pops up, a little toast on the bottom which says draft is discarded. Do you want to undo this action? It is completely possible that the user will do something which was unintended, right? So we have to provide our users with a way to kind of recoup, to come back, okay? So you have to give them the freedom to undo their actions, if possible, of course. And this is a really, really nice way to do it here. So when you discard a draft, you will have a couple of seconds to undo your action. So really, really nice piece of interaction there. Another good example, Apple has been doing this for a while now, and Apple, in my opinion, Apple is one of the best examples of a good user experience design. Both Apple Photos and Notes have a nice little option which is recently deleted. So if you unintentionally or intentionally deleted a note or a photo, you still have an option to retrieve it. I think both of them will be there for 30 days in the recently deleted folder, and you have 30 days to actually undo your action and retrieve it back. So it gives user this freedom, and it doesn't make all of the actions as destructive as they could be. Okay, so this is a destructive action, but not a completely destructive action because we can undo it, at least for 30 days, which is really a big time frame. Next one is consistency and standards. This one is a bit more general, I guess, but I took an example here for Instagram and Facebook. These two apps are very, very popular apps and completely two different products, right? But if we look at them, you will notice that both of them have some similarities. We have some consistency between them, even though they are two different products. For example, both of them are using bottom navigation. You see the icons at the bottom here. This is what user uses to navigate. So we have two different products, the same kind of like consistency between the navigation. Both of them use a home icon to present an action that will take user to the home. Okay, this has become kind of like a standard nowadays. And this is the consistency that the user expects. When the user sees a home icon, user expects to go to the home, right? Additionally, some other things here. We have a search icon here, which is a magnifying glass, both here in the Instagram app and both here in the Facebook app. Consistency and what will user expect when touching this action is that they will be able to search. Okay, so this is the consistency that we provide between the platform, between the apps, even though they are not the same product, right? And maybe a bit more just to show you how far this went. You see these 3 dots here in both Instagram and Facebook, just 3 dots. Kind of, you could say a stupid icon, just 3 dots. But users know when they click that thing that they'll have additional actions for in that product. So that these 3 dots will provide them with additional actions that can be done within the product. So really, it's good to take a look at other products and kind of follow what they're doing, because the consistency that the users will get in the end is really a huge deal for them. Error prevention, another very important feature and important principle. Okay, it says here that the good error messages are important, but it's also important that we actually provide them at the correct times. Here is a single example from the Mac OS. When you try to delete something in the Mac OS or in Windows, or you will get a pop-up asking you, are you sure you want to delete this folder example? Okay, it's important that you actually ask your users when you're doing some destructive action. This is a destructive action. Before you actually go ahead and complete that action, you should ask the user, are you sure you want to do this? Notify them that this is something that will have a certain influence later on or immediately. Another example is from the Airbnb. Airbnb has a really nice design. It's really user experience there is really good. So the error prevention that they do here is when you want to sign up, you have to enter your phone number. So as soon as you choose a country and a region, they will give you the number prefix for the country that you chose. So there is no possibility in you messing up the prefix for your country. This is not really something that a lot of users will know, maybe on the top of their mind. This is the prefix for my country. So this is a really nice little addition here that they do to do the error prevention. And additionally, they show an error message if there is no phone number entered, so it's clear for the user that something is wrong, that something is missing. Onwards, recognition rather than recall. This one is a bit more complicated when you search for the examples of this one. One of the best examples that I have is actually when you have apps that allow you to open recent things. So for example, in the Pages app, which is basically a Word for Mac, you have an option to open recent. So you can see all the documents that you recently worked at, and which completely falls under this recognition rather than recall idea, where you don't force your user to actually remember what was the name of the file that I worked on 5 days ago, or where was it located. We give the user this option to just go open recent and find a file that they recently worked on. Another good example of the principle of recognition rather than recall would be bookmarks in Safari, in Chrome, Internet Explorer, wherever. Everyone is using bookmarks, I'm sure, right? You're not trying to remember what did I look at 5 days ago? What was the URL for that thing, right? No, you have it in the bookmarks, or even better, if you don't have it in the bookmarks, you have it in the history tab, right? So really nice, nice things to kind of make users' experience much better and minimize the memory load and the things that the user has to remember. Flexibility and efficiency of use. This is used by maybe more hardcore users of certain softwares and stuff, which is basically shortcuts. The example that I provided here is, I don't know if there are any Mac users here, but if there are, I'm not sure if you ever looked at it. But you can actually create your custom keyboard shortcuts. So if you're a really advanced user and you want to create your own shortcuts, software should enable you to do that, right? which is a really, really cool thing. Another example of the shortcuts would be for the iPhone users. I don't know if there are any iPhone users here that are using 3D touch feature. So iPhones have the 3D touch feature where you can kind of have a more stronger press on the screen on the app icon, and it will pop up additional actions, kind of like shortcuts. So it would be good if you could provide shortcuts in your products, specifically for software, like certain things that you expect to have, Control Z undo and Control Y redo and stuff like that. So shortcuts do come in handy, but are not really a prerequisite for a product to be good. Okay, this is more for advanced users later on. Aesthetics and a minimalistic design. Another thing here. It says that the interface should not contain information which is irrelevant or rarely needed. This is a questionable part, right? How minimalistic is enough? Do we go all the way towards the minimalistic design? Do we hide all of the information from the user, or no? So a really nice example from Airbnb actually. Airbnb has a really, really nice landing page. You see there is not a lot of noise here. They have a really, really nice image actually showing you what you came for, someone having a great time in the nature, having a trip somewhere, nice little headline. And on the top, they have a form asking you to enter some information and to interact with their product. So it's a really minimalistic page, but gives the user kind of like a peace of mind. Okay, I'm where I'm supposed to be, and gives them a clear idea of what they should do next. Enter the information about the location, check-in, check-out, and the number of guests. Now let's use our product, right? So really, really a nice, nice minimalistic design that they use here. And additionally, Netflix as well. Netflix is a really, really popular app nowadays. So Netflix has a really, really nice minimalistic design here. Look, even though the Netflix has a huge amount of content, right? There's a huge amount of content, and every movie, every TV show has a huge amount of information. From the trailers, from the number of seasons, to the episodes, synopses, actors, awards, languages. So there is a bunch of information for every single one of these things that we see here. But what Netflix did is they simplified a lot. Minimalistic design all the way. So you have, I don't know, Money Heist. Good. You have the icon that it's Netflix, and you have the image for the TV show. You don't have any additional information. Some additional information is presented up here, like Lupin, top 10. It's giving you the idea, okay, this thing falls under the top 10 category, and there are new episodes for this thing. But it's not giving you all of the information about the TV show, right? If you want more information, you will actually enter and ask for more information about the TV show. So I guess minimalistic design at its best. Not a lot of colors in the background, dark background, giving an opportunity for all of these TV shows to actually show their own colors and their own brands and stuff to the user. So let's go on. Helping users with the errors. Very important principle, okay? If you ask me, one of the most important ones, this one is make it or break it for the user, whether they come back to your product, okay? Error messages, one of the most important things. Once again, an example of Netflix. If you lock your account, if you enter a wrong PIN, this is what Netflix shows you, okay? It shows you that the profile lock is currently on, okay? It's a clear message. There is a profile lock on. This is why you cannot enter what you want to enter. And whoops, it's a wrong PIN. Please try again. It gives you a clear message that you entered the wrong PIN. And additionally, with the clear message of the error, human readable message of the error, it also tells you how to resolve it. Please try again. So very, very clear communication from the side of Netflix with this error message. Another example, a very, very nice example, is Chrome. I'm sure everyone saw this at one point in time. An error message when there is no internet, it clearly tells you there is no internet. This is the error, and it gives you two possibilities how to resolve that issue. Check network cable or reconnect to Wi-Fi. And additionally, it gives a bit of an error internet disconnect down there, kind of like an error code if you need some additional information, you're tech savvy. Just as an FYI, if you're not aware of that, if you get the screen, if you press space on your keyboard, you will start the game with this little dinosaur, which will basically jump around. So just as an FYI. So a very, very clear kind of communication from the Chrome as well with this error. Clear message and a clear way for the user to resolve the error. The last piece of the usability heuristic is actually help and documentation. I cannot stress how important this one is as well. People usually think there is no need for the help and documentation, but let's take a look at the Apple iPhone users. You have online an iPhone user guide. I mean, come on, we are all aware what iPhone is, right? And iPhone has been around for 13, 14 years, 15 years, I'm not sure, right? And one would expect everyone knows how to use that thing. No, there's always a possibility that you have new users and your product evolves with time. The iPhone that we have today is not the same iPhone as you had 7, 8, 10 years ago. So it is crucial that you have some kind of documentation and help for your users so they can easily onboard to your new features and products. MailChimp has a really, really nice approach to the help section. MailChimp is a service that provides you with the possibility of sending emails. Very, very nice help page that separates the things that you might need help with into sections. So you need help with the account, okay, go into the accounts. You need help with getting started, you have getting started right here. So it's a really, really nice way to simply kind of provide help with multiple things, because accounts probably has a bunch of other things inside of it where you might need help. But it shows to the user the most important categories where the help can be provided. So, and a really, really cool design for MailChimp there. I like it a lot. There's no example really here, but onboarding, I'm sure everyone who used some apps, you saw when you enter the app, you have like a welcome screen that explains the features of the apps and maybe gives you a demonstration of how to use them. Onboarding is a really, really good way to kind of give your users an idea of what your product is. For the tools, when it comes to the usability heuristics, well, first thing, Nielsen Group, amazing articles about usability heuristics. And additionally, there's a link for you where you can download the posters for every single one of these 10 principles that I just described. They have really, really beautiful posters there. Once this is online, once this PDF is online, you'll have access to these links and everything. And it's a really, really great resource. So I would recommend, maybe if you're looking into this, take a look at these posters. Posters are really, really nice. Fun colors, nicely explained, and beautiful examples. So a really, really good resource to learn and to use as a cheat sheet. Next thing in the user experience is laws of UX. There's this UX designer, Jon Jablonski. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but this person kind of took Gestalt principles and some other things from the user experience design and put them all together in the laws of UX on a single website. So a really, really nice little piece of information that can help you additionally adjust your products to fit certain guidelines. So let's just take a look at some of them. I did not cover all of them. There's a lot of them. I did not cover all of them. I just covered some of them with the examples. For example, Fitts law, okay? Every single one of these things has an explanation. So just take a look at this one. The time required to rapidly move to a target area is a function of the ratio between the distance to the target and the width of the target, blah, 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 blah. A lot of text, right? It doesn't really give us the core of this thing. So there's some time involved. There's a target area, some ratio. They lost me at the ratio, right? The distance between this and that. So what is this thing actually? I try to kind of explain it in the more simple terms. So basically, Fitts law tells us, let's take a look at the example. If you have some action that you want your user to take, make that action pop out, okay? So if you have a button that you want your user to press, make it really accessible, make it big, make it shiny, make it really make it pop out. So the user is focused on it. Example of the Kickstarter web page, where you can kind of back some projects through funding. Look, back this project, it's one of the biggest buttons on the screen, right? It's big button, it's a green button with a green background. It's really, that's one of the first things that you'll see right next to the video of the product. So it really shows a clear message to the user, okay, this is the action that we want you to take. And it's easy for the user to take this action because it's right there in their face, okay? So they don't have to search around and press some small buttons. While the actions that are really not that important to the user, like share actions, you see the Facebook icon here, Twitter button and stuff like that. This is not something that you want user to immediately do, right? So they are much smaller and much more kind of at the side, not really in the user space. Another law, Hicks law. The time it takes to make a decision increases as the number of options increases, okay? If we have some people here that are using Netflix, I'm sure you will agree with me. Netflix has a huge, huge, huge library of content. When I'm not sure what I want to watch, I tend to spend 45 minutes just searching for what I'm about to watch on Netflix, right? It's ridiculous. I lose more time searching than actually watching the content. And this is what this law explains. The time it takes to make a decision increases, the number of options increases. So we have a huge amount of options on Netflix, and the time that we decide will increase. But Netflix kind of jumped to it and kind of tried to resolve that issue. How? By creating specific categories. One example is top 10 movies in the US today, for example. It gives you a clear list. Okay, these are the top 10 new movies, and kind of makes your selection process maybe just a bit easier. Okay, so things like that will really help to get the user to make the choices much, much faster. And I find myself really, I've realized that in the last couple of months, I'm actually choosing the stuff that come from these categories, and I'm no longer just searching through the endless library without any goal in mind, right? Only if I'm really bored. So a really nice example of that, and additionally Shazam. Shazam is an app that allows you to record the music sound next to you and gives you the recognition of that music, so it will recognize what music you're listening to. So look at the Shazam. As simple as possible. When you open the app, the thing that you have is a message tab to Shazam and a huge, huge button for the user to click and start recording. So there are no additional huge options here. There is something down there which is not taking up too much of the screen. So there's only one option given to the user, and the reaction of the user will be as fast as possible. Open the app, click on the button, record the sound, right? So as quick as possible. Really, really a nice thing that they did. Jacob's law, okay? This one, you have the description here, but I'll kind of simplify it a lot. So what happens here is your users want to have something familiar. I took an example of the e-commerce website, okay? Look at this website. This is the ASOS website, where you can buy all kinds of stuff, right? The design of this thing is exactly almost the same as the design for eBay and Amazon. All three of these things are e-commerce websites, and all three of them have some familiar things. In all three of them, you will have a big image of what you're trying to buy. You'll have a gallery of additional images. You will have some pickers to choose the size, to choose the color, to choose some options, and you'll have the add to cart option and some descriptions. So all of these e-commerce websites follow the same kind of idea, so it's easier for the users to use them. Users want to use the things that are familiar to them. So next time that you're on the e-commerce websites, just take a look. You'll see all of them actually follow the same principles. And this is the Jacob's law. Make your things familiar to the users. Law of proximity. This one is a bit weird. It's kind of difficult to understand it at all points in time. Just as objects that are near or proximate to each other tend to be grouped together. So let's take a look at the example. Netflix once again. I really took a lot of examples from Netflix. You see this up here, this part up here where you have Netflix logo, home TV shows, movies. We can see, based on the proximity, that these things kind of fit together. They are a part of a navigation. The same thing as this right part here, we see that these things are a part of the same kind of navigation. When we look at the movies down here, first up here, we see that the movie's title we're looking at movies and the genres are together. So we know that these genres are basically the genres from the movies, not for the TV shows. And down here, horror movies and the action movies, we know that these horizontal lists, that all of these movies in the horizontal list here belong to the horror movies and these one to the action movies. And it's clear for the user. User won't make a mistake thinking that this vertical line under the Riccione Sun, The Conjuring, and Lock, Stock, and Two Loaded Barrels belong to horror movies or something. It's clear that the horizontal list is what belongs to each one of these categories, and we have this spacing to kind of provide this distinction. So a very, very simple and a nice way to kind of provide this UI. Miller's Law. Quite an interesting one, has to do with psychology, I guess. The average person can only keep 7 plus or minus 2 items in their working memory. Okay, this kind of puts it in the same position as computers. We have a working memory, right? So we can remember up to 7 things. So how do we use this in the UI? Look at the example of 2 websites, Netflix and Stripe. Look at the navigation bar. Netflix has a huge amount of content, right? But they did not put horror, crime, comedy, and so on, like 15 options in the nav bar. They put 5 most important things for the user and hid all of the other complexity and all of the other content behind those things. So you want to have a clear communication to the user. You do not want to overload the user with too many things. And next time the user comes in to the Netflix website, they clearly know what they want to choose, TV shows or movies, and they know where to find the thing. The same thing happens with the Stripe. It's a company that provides the payment options for the software. Really, very, very simple navigation with not a lot of options there. Serial position effect. I think I'll get to the end of this thing. So serial position effect. User have started to remember first and last items in a series. A nice example of the Instagram. A lot of apps are using this bottom navigation, right? What the user will usually remember is the first thing in the list and the last thing. So in Instagram's case, they expect user to remember like homepage, where you can see the new content from your friends, and user profile, where you can see your own content. You see what they're doing? They're putting purposely these 2 things at the first and last thing because they know you will remember them. All of this in the middle here, it's kind of lost to you unless you're specifically looking for it. Tesla's law. Okay, a lot of text. Basically, for any system, there is a certain amount of complexity which cannot be reduced. With user experience, you want to reduce complexity. We want to provide simple user experiences and simple UIs for the user. But sometimes it's just not possible. Look at the example of Airbnb. Airbnb has this form. They have to have this form which asks for the location, check-in, check-out, and the number of guests. Why? Because these information are important for the finishing up of the search process. We cannot have the result of the search process or search action without these 4 pieces of information. It would be nice if we could just enter the location that we are going, but that piece of information is not enough. So in the example of Airbnb, their process of the search for the accommodation cannot be, the complexity of the search cannot be reduced more than this. So there is 4 pieces of information that are required, and we cannot reduce complexity anymore. I hope this makes sense. Okay. Okay, one Restroff effect. One of the, I think we are almost at the end. Okay. Just when you have multiple things that look similarly, if there is something that pops out for the user, it will be remembered. Usually used on the pricing pages. Look, Asana. We have basic here first, premium, business, and enterprise. Which one pops? Well, the premium one. You have this purple outline, you have the purple button. So this is the one that pops, and this is the one that the user will kind of remember in the end, okay? That there is a premium one, and it's all purple and nice. So, and the color has to do something with it as additionally, which you can find later on the color theory of this document. Another one is the GitHub for the developers, something for the developers. Look at this one. They're actually telling you, we want you to buy the theme one. It has a border in a purple color. all three of these options look similar, but this one in the middle pops up, and this is the one that you will remember, that there is a theme option. Zeigarnik effect. I think this is actually the last one. People remember incomplete or interrupted tasks better than completed tasks. This is something that is usually used in the games a lot, but it's also used by LinkedIn. Everyone here probably using LinkedIn to kind of force you to complete your profile. I don't know about you, but it took me a long time to complete it. I was also always seeing this thing, profile strength intermediate. You're almost there. You're almost about to get the star, and would always kind of motivate me to finish this profile. Additionally, not just to motivate the users, but Netflix does that as well. Like if you're watching a TV show or something, it will actually show your progress bar. Okay, you started watching this, but you did not finish this thing, right? So this is this Zeigarnik effect that actually gets the user motivated to actually finish up with whatever they started doing. So LinkedIn and Netflix are a really good example of this, but you can find it in a lot of games where you can get kind of like daily rewards to finishing up your assignments and stuff like that. For the tools here, I just put the link to the laws of the UX website. There is a lot more laws there. I just covered some of them. There's a lot more of them there. They unfortunately do not have a real examples of them. You can find examples for some of them here in this document what I created, but if you're interested in more of these laws, you can find them there. And the next thing that we have here in this document is color and fonts, but I think I have like 9 minutes left, so I don't think that I should go further with this. This is something that you can take a look at later on in this training material. But there is a nice explanation of the color theory, a lot about colors with the examples, some tools for the color picking and everything. So really, really nice tools. And finally, the fonts, even though people don't think they are important, this material here will actually explain the importance of the fonts with the nice examples and actually with some additional tools that will help you in choosing the font. So I think I'll stop here. I hope this was kind of interesting. Hopefully, I don't know. I really tried my best to find some good examples to present all of this. And I hope, yeah, I hope you found this interesting. I don't know.
And we did. So thank you, Andrei. If all of you partners maybe have some questions, we have a few minutes left. Please feel free to ask before we close.
I just like
or
to
you
say
are
that
too hungry to ask.
No, I really like this last part. So thank you, Andrei.
I'm glad you liked it.
If it would be possible, I would really like to get these slides of yours that you have been presenting today to get some links. If it would be possible, it would be great.
Yeah, actually,
we have all the slides. We will share it with you.
Okay, thanks. I'll definitely try to use some of the stuff that you presented in my work or with my counseling, because never thought much about stuff that you have presented today, but very interesting. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, yes. Our biggest concern was that because we have this technical and engineering training, that it won't be so creative as the previous days of you partners, because that's why we didn't include so much practical part in our training, like practical exercises and so, but we hope that it was useful for you and that will inspire you for the future work in your organizations.
Yeah, I mean, for me, definitely. For CCI, I think that the most crucial thing will be how to present stuff that you have presented today to them, so they could be easy to use. This final part, I think it's many of this stuff could be used for companies. Simple solutions, simple hints that could help an entrepreneur to be more visible and more successful. So yeah, I think that all of the trainings that we have heard in the past 5 days, the main goal would be how to present them in our outputs, so that people from CCI could get hints and ideas on how to use them. So yeah, thank you, Inter, for your today's presentation.
Thank you.
I think we are all glad that we managed to finish our 5-day training program. Thank you all for your contribution. I'd like to remind Romania Tech to please send us your handouts. From others, we get them already, so that we could gather them together and to have it as a, I don't know, some formal overview of what have we heard in this training program. And I saw that Marta asked for all presentations. I think this is also manageable, so that if everyone send it to Marta or to us, I don't know, or to both, to all. So yeah, that would be it. Thank you all. I think if anyone wants to ask anything, please come.
No, I just wanted to add that me as a marketeer, I'm really interested in experiential marketing in particular, and user experience plays a huge part here. So I was very happy to hear about different ways how we can improve the user experience. I was familiar with Disney example, of course, but yeah, I think this is the future that we need to be more aware of, for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
I agree with Manja totally. Anyone else? Okay. If that's the case, have
Let's
a good
make
day.
a common picture.
Yeah, of
before
course.
we,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Where is Joanna?
Here.
Oh, here you are.
Okay, the first one, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. Okay. One more. Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
That should do.
Yeah.
Guys, have fun. We'll be in touch.
we will
I
be in
guess.
touch.
Marta, would you like to add anything about the handbook? What are the next steps?
Yeah, well, as you know, for September, we need to have ready the training contents, at least a complete draft. So in the next week, we will give a thought about how to organize this training contents in the handbook. And as we get to some proposal, we will call you for a meeting to discuss that proposal with you, so that we all can start organizing the information and to develop all chapters for the handbook. Okay. We need also to review your local assessments. We left that apart because we were fully focused on this training and the other projects that we have as a company, but that's another task for the summer. But yeah, maybe the most urgent one is to start organizing the training chapters in the handbook. Okay, so expect a meeting in the following weeks.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you all once again,
Thanks, Marta.
and see you soon.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Good day.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.